It's approaching midnight. The ocean is a vast, calm expanse of black glass under a clear, star-filled sky. On board the majestic RMS Titanic, over 2,000 souls are experiencing an ordinary night at sea. In the luxurious first-class cabins, some are already asleep, dreaming peacefully. In the common areas and the lively third-class decks, others are still awake, their conversations filled with laughter and hope. Families are traveling together, their bonds tightened by the shared adventure. Men, full of ambition, dream of the fortunes they'll make in the new world. The innocent laughter of children echoes faintly in the corridors. No one on this floating city has any idea of the fate that awaits them. For many, this tranquil night will be their last. In just a matter of minutes, the largest, most magnificent ship the world has ever seen will sail directly into history. Not as a triumph of engineering, but as one of the most profound tragedies of the modern age. In the year 1912, the Titanic is more than just a ship. It is a towering symbol of human achievement and national pride. It's the largest moving object ever created by man. It is modern, opulent, and breathtakingly impressive. The public, the press, the creators themselves, they all speak of its safety, its strength. Some, in a fit of hubris, even dare to call it unsinkable. On its maiden voyage from Southampton to New York, the ship is a microcosm of society. The wealthiest industrialists and aristocrats occupy the lavish suites, waited on hand and foot. Far below, in the modest steerage cabins, are the poor and the hopeful entire families who have sold everything they own for a chance at a new life in America. They all travel on the same vessel, sharing the same patch of ocean, but their chances of survival are starkly different. The date is April 14th, 1912. The night air is bitingly cold. Unusually so. The sea is eerily calm, like a mirror, which makes spotting icebergs more difficult without the telltale white water breaking at their base. High in the crow's nest, the lookouts scan the dark horizon, their eyes straining against the blackness. Suddenly, a shape materializes out of the haze. A mountain of ice, directly in their path. The warning bell clangs urgently. "Iceberg, right ahead!" The frantic call goes down to the bridge. Orders are barked into the engine room. Hard a starboard, full astern. The massive engines roar in protest as the crew desperately tries to steer the colossal ship away from the impending collision. But the Titanic is too big, too fast. It's too late. With a sickening grinding shudder, the Titanic strikes the iceberg. The impact itself isn't violent. On the upper decks, many passengers feel little more than a slight vibration. Some, who are still awake, look up from their card games or conversations, momentarily puzzled. A few go out on deck to see what happened, some even playing with the ice that has fallen onto the forward well deck. Most, however, simply continue their night, unconcerned. The sleeping remain undisturbed. But deep below the waterline, a fatal wound has been inflicted. The iceberg has sliced open a series of gashes along the ship's hull, breaching 5 of its 16 watertight compartments. Water begins to pour in. At first, it's a trickle, then a torrent. Slowly, silently, the ocean reclaims the unsinkable ship. The Titanic is doomed. Initially, the crew, under the command of Captain Edward Smith, tries to manage the situation without causing alarm. They want to avoid panic at all costs. Stewards calmly rouse passengers, telling them to put on their life belts and come up to the boat deck as a precaution. But as the ship's forward deck begins to dip noticeably into the water, the terrifying truth can no longer be contained. The Titanic cannot be saved. And then, the horrifying realization of another more terrible problem dawns on everyone. There are not enough lifeboats. The regulations of the time were horribly outdated. The number of lifeboats required was based on the ship's tonnage, not its passenger capacity. The Titanic actually has more lifeboats than legally required, but still only enough for about half the people on board. Hard, impossible choices must now be made. The order is given, women and children first. This rule, a maritime tradition, becomes a brutal decree. Families are torn apart on the tilting decks. Husbands kiss their wives and children goodbye, knowing they will likely never see them again. Final words of love and encouragement are exchanged in the midst of rising fear and confusion. Panic, once a spark, now erupts into a raging fire. The calm facade shatters. As the Titanic's bow sinks deeper, its stern rises high into the air, creating a terrifying, steep angle. Amidst the chaos, the ship's band, led by Wallace Hartley, makes a courageous decision. They assemble on the boat deck and begin to play. Not to be remembered as heroes, but in a desperate, compassionate attempt to bring a measure of calm to the terrified passengers. Their music provides a surreal, poignant soundtrack to the unfolding disaster. The icy Atlantic water climbs relentlessly up the decks. The cold is a physical blow, shocking and unbearable. In desperation, some people jump from the rising stern into the freezing sea below, hoping for a miracle. Others, resigned to their fate, stay on the ship, holding each other until the very end. Then, with a deafening roar that can be heard for miles, the immense stress on the hull becomes too much. The Titanic breaks in two. The forward section disappears beneath the waves, while the stern lurches back, stands almost vertical against the starlit sky for a moment, and then begins its final, terrifying plunge into the abyss. It's around 2:20 in the morning, and then silence. The great ship is gone. The ocean is once again calm, but now it is dotted with the desperate survivors from the lifeboats and the hundreds of people struggling in the freezing water. The night is filled with their cries for help. But the water is just a few degrees above freezing. Hypothermia sets in within minutes. The struggles become weaker. The screams fade one by one until an eerie silence falls over the wreck site. More than 1,500 people die that night. Their deaths are not solely the fault of an iceberg. They are the result of a chain of human errors. The ship was traveling too fast through a known ice field. The warnings from other ships were not heeded, the lookouts didn't have binoculars, and crucially the builders and owners had allowed an arrogant confidence to override common sense safety. There were simply not enough lifeboats. The world wakes up to the news in a state of profound shock and disbelief. How could this happen? How could the most modern, most advanced ship in the world sink on its very first voyage? Why weren't there enough lifeboats for everyone? The inquiries that follow lead to sweeping changes in maritime safety regulations, ensuring a disaster of this scale would not happen again. But for the victims and their families, these changes come far too late. The Titanic isn't just a story about a ship. It's a collection of thousands of human stories. Stories of dreams and aspirations, of love and sacrifice, of fear and courage, and of the choices people make when faced with the unthinkable. One night, one impact, and thousands of lives were forever altered. Today, more than a century later, the wreck of the Titanic lies silently on the ocean floor, nearly 2.5 miles down. It is a haunting, ghostly monument. But its story endures, a powerful and timeless reminder that even the greatest of human creations are vulnerable, and that pride can often come before a great fall. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as moving as we do, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more historical deep dives. We'll see you next time.